Hi everyone, welcome to this reading. So I have my crystal ball off to the side. I will be scrying throughout this message. If you're new to my channel, my readings are a little different. If you're returning, welcome back. You know how we do if it doesn't resonate with you, if you're forcing the story to fit, arguing with it in any way, just leave it behind for the people who it's meant for. So channel members, you guys will have your next book review on Sunday. High Priestess tier, you'll have your next Microhabits video on Sunday as well. And if you guys are interested in channel memberships, that link will always be in the description box. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Taking a step aside and allowing spirit to pass through me. Opening up to receive information. There's an energy shift. I'm recording all of these on Thursday. And the energy's been pretty consistent leading up until the reading I did for Saturday. And then now that I'm tuning into Sunday, there's something that just kind of like switches over. It feels a little lighter, a little bit brighter. Coming in. I don't know, I'm being told to do some weird things here. Okay, we have the ever unfolding rose cracked open. It's happening for you, not to you. And then the bottom here we have Priestess. How are you being called to step up and lead? This is almost like the unveiling of a particular divine nature. And you know, whoever's message this is, you've probably already been aware of that. You've already probably been on a very long journey. But there's like this added layer that suddenly, it seems like on Sunday or therein somewhere, we're suddenly getting exposed to this deeper layer of insight into some level of our interconnection, of how the pattern kind of folds in and merges on itself. With this Priestess energy, this is very much speaking to me about somebody who suddenly begins to display or experience divinity and their own sort of like supernatural abilities. So I'm seeing somebody who has like a profound ability for channeling. There's definitely going to be other things that are backing that, for example, mediumship experiences. But then there's something about the warming of the hand chakras and how this is now suddenly someone is realizing that they have a healing ability. They have the ability to make things happen with their hands. Lions are going to be important for somebody, Leo. May be significant, especially if you have a North Node in Leo, okay? Just because this is where the soul seems to be navigating someone to. Some of you may have a South Node in Leo, and so some of your lessons within this life may have had to be overcoming certain blocks within that energy. I'm almost being drawn to like talk about that a little bit. So there's something here that's coming through about where you've been has to be processed and healed to unblock you. We understand that. We tend to understand that from like a life perspective, right? From an emotional perspective and an energetic perspective. But I find a lot of times when we talk about the nodes, people tend to leave that out inside of the South Node, especially if you're looking at that South Node as like past life material. There's something here about having been seen, having been in the public eye that is coming through for somebody as a wound that had to be healed in order for them to truly demonstrate exactly who and what they are. Not for the benefit of others. It's stepping into someone's true purpose, right? What it is that you came here to do, what it is that you've been designed to do. And I am leaning into that terminology of designed. Lotuses are going to be very important for somebody. Something about the lotus pillar is important. There's also something about deserts that are important, as well as like where deserts meet water. I'm getting this like where earth meets sky and where the desert meets the water. Interesting. The concept of the tetrapolar magnet is important for somebody as well. Okay. As well as nebula. Okay. We have the Muse of Materials. I love this card. So this is really the Page of Pentacles. a bridge from here to where it is that we are. It's almost like when the hero arrives, right? When the hero arrives at their destination. There is something about a period right now that feels very initiatory in its scope. It feels like someone is crossing the threshold from where it is and who they've always been, and their struggles and their working throughs and the entire story up until now. And then now what someone is walking is this phase that is very brief, maybe even just a window of like days, where this unfolding starts to occur. And in this unfolding, it's like everything is finally being seen for what it is, right? I'm seeing it for what it is. And you may have previously had that sort of feeling with having a higher perspective on things, but suddenly it's like this interconnection and the weaving of those things together and how they shape the tapestry of life is coming together for somebody. As they cross through that threshold of that understanding, it's taking them to the place that they were always meant to arrive. There's been heavy destiny themes coming out inside this collective recently, I've been noticing. And I want you to notice like the trees, right? That's what's happening in the background here. It's like trees and it's this like lush forest. This always makes me think of like the primordial state. So there's something here about the true primordial self, the thing that cannot be changed, the thing that is experiencing the lifetimes and the lifetimes, that is actually the one that embodies, right? It embodies its directives, it embodies the direction in which our soul travels and which our soul goes. And there's something about coming into union with this primordial self. Heavy Shiva vibes. I'm going to say that. Heavy Shiva vibes because of that. There's also something here about this apple. The apple. There's a temptation along the way. Somewhere along this bridge, there's a temptation along the way. They're almost misplaced, right? There's apples. And I know apples aren't really the Garden of Eden fruit. Originally, in Renaissance paintings, it was the quince. And there may have been something before that, but that's the one that I learned about, golden quinces. And but these apples are representing to me something about a forbidden knowledge. It's almost like we feel that we've seen behind a layer of something and we weren't really meant to see it. It's almost like, oh, I've been given the keys of a particular type of mystery. Shh, you know. There's something else that's coming through in this also folklore about a particular type of apple that once it's eaten reveals the future. And so there may be, again, with this high priestess energy, there may be this foreknowing that is coming in. Once you see the interconnection of those patterns and you see the things for what they are and the tapestry they're weaving, you know exactly where that tapestry is leading. And that's what I'm seeing here. Someone here is really stepping into a higher understanding of just what's taking place. It's like having access to a deeper level of the self and the collective. Okay. Some of you, because those trees are giant in the background, you may be doing this in the context of a shamanic paradigm. Here with the Two of Voices, there is something here that has felt like it's been off limits. When I have the Two of Swords, this is like you may not cross it with the. Let's be real, with the bridge, total Gandalf vibes. You shall not pass. There's something here that we may not have gotten access to, and what I'm seeing is that someone is finally gaining access to it. This is almost like the person. I know they're still going towards the door, but for me, the way I saw it, it was like this is the way that they go when they're coming out. It's like there's something about this energy that we're stepping into that either we never felt that we would gain access to it, or it's something that once you gain access to it, you understand how rare that actually is, right? Definite heavy initiation sort of vibes. I'm noticing that this woman who they took this photo of on the sides, she has a ring on her, like I do, little slow sometimes, a ring on her middle finger. And so there may be this sort of energy of trying to rein in the expansion that's taking place. You may feel, for example, because for me there's an expansive energy that emerges from this particular finger. You may feel that everything is growing and expanding faster than you can keep tabs on it. You may even feel that as you're emerging into this other layer, this other frequency of experience, that you're losing your sense of self, like your ego container is being dissolved slightly. Little tip, put a ring on the middle finger. Okay. We have the Five of Materials. This is the Five of Pentacles. So with this Five of Pentacles, this is interesting because this almost makes me think of a circus. And this almost makes me think of like music that you would hear coming out of a tent. And so this feels a little bit like that temptation energy that I was talking about in here. There may be a temptation to stay on the outside and remain on the outside looking. And I do feel that there's a little bit of anxiety that someone may experience as they get closer to this threshold or walking across this sort of initiation phase. And there's nothing wrong with taking your time. Okay, there's nothing wrong with taking your time. There's nothing wrong with deciding you don't want to do it. There's nothing wrong with any of those things. I am seeing that someone here, it may occur that expansion and that expansive energy, it may actually feel quite draining for somebody. I'm seeing the middle finger touching this woman who's kind of curled up on her side, like she just wants to sleep and be left alone. So make sure you're getting a lot of sleep as this experience is happening. Maybe even listening to music, and being mindful of what kind of music you're listening to. If you're a person who, like me, like really aggressive music, maybe allowing yourself to listen to something that is a little bit more soothing for a little while as you're going through this experience. Okay. I'm being told to take these three together. So I have Three of Inspiration, I have the Emperor, and I have the Seven of Voices. And I'll show you these cards. This Emperor card always makes me think of music as well. So heavy emphasis on sound. Okay. Okay. So with the Three of Inspiration, this is the Three of Wands, the Emperor, and the Seven of Swords with the Seven of Voices. There's this ability that starts to come in on this stretch of the journey where it's almost this ability to prove to ourselves. And that's really what life is, right? Life is one giant proving ground, and the things that you can't prove to yourself, it's like you learn the lesson of them so that you later can. This is, we walk, right? We start off walking. We crawl until we can prove that to ourselves that we've gotten strong enough, and we walk, and then we start walking, and every time you fall, you learn the lessons until you can actually walk. You learn about boundaries until you're able to actually enforce them. There's this thing that's going on here where this, the keeping self safe, right? Sometimes with the Seven of Swords, we can look at this as self-sabotage, but really, in the traditional Rider-Waite, Pamela Coleman Smith, it was the man who's carrying the swords away from the camp so that they can't attack in the morning. And in some ways this is viewed as betrayal if he came from that camp or if he had nothing to do with the war, right? He kind of rigs things. There is this sort of forward-thinking element to this, especially with the Emperor being involved, where we are in control of our faculties, and now that we have access to this priestess-like information, it's twofold. It's not only can this information be used to help you kind of navigate your life in a more meaningful or better way, but there's also a little warning in there about not playing God, right? And not in terms of your own life, but in the lives of other people, trying to use these for sort of twisted means, I guess. There's a little bit of a warning there because the dominoes will fall. That's kind of the energy it's giving me. The dominoes will fall. One thing sets off a chain reaction, and there's a greater level of responsibility that comes into our choices and our lives when we step into this energy. I don't feel that in order to get to this energy that someone has actually maintain that need for control, right? I don't feel that. But sometimes when the opportunity is there, we might be tempted to experiment. And I do feel that that is related to this temptation I'm feeling. It's almost like there's a temptation presenting itself so that we can prove whether we're actually mature enough to cross that threshold, or if we still have lessons to learn. Because if we do sort of use this for our own gain, it does set off a chain reaction, and then we won't be able to actually move over to the other side. We'll have to clean up that mess. So there's a little bit of a warning there for someone. I feel that for most of you, that's actually not necessary. This sort of prophetic priestess energy that someone is embodying here, this is going to be new. This is not something that you've already done. Again, it's something that seems to come out of nowhere for somebody. You may have had small inklings of it, but it's almost like the mind suddenly expands. And this is ultimately an unfolding of someone's true purpose or true path is starting to open up to them. Okay, I'm going to leave this here. So this is really beautiful energy. If this resonates with you, feel free to hit that like button. Feel free to leave me a comment. And until next time.